Hi everyone, Rabbi David Tawil here from Mishna Study, Masechet Shevuot, Perek Vav, Mishna Zayin. The final Mishnah of Perek Vav discusses a situation of a dispute between a creditor and a debtor, a malveh and a loveh, regarding a halva'ah, a loan that was taken with a mashkon, with collateral, and the collateral was lost. How do they go about figuring out who should pay who? So before we read the Mishnah, it's worthwhile of reading the Rabbeinu Avada Mibar Terura's comment over here as a nice introduction. He says, when a person lends money to his friend with collateral, the lender who takes the collateral from the borrower becomes a shomer sachar. He becomes a watchman over that collateral for money, because he's going to eventually give that collateral back and receive his payment back in return. So he is liable to watch that product like a shomer sachar, like a paid watchman. And this is independent of whether he took the collateral at the time of the loan itself, or if maybe later on he took the collateral. So let's say he gave the guy 2 weeks to pay and he didn't pay back after 2 weeks. He says, okay, I'll give you a 2-week extension if you give me a collateral. This would also be a situation relevant to our Mishnah. Now, what happens if a lender takes collateral and then loses the collateral? He takes the person's watch and he loses the collateral. Says Bartenura, v'im avad o nignav, if the collateral was lost or stolen, v'haya ha-mashkon keneged ha'chov, and the collateral was in place of the debt, yatsa mashkono bechovo ve'en lahem ze al ze klum. Then the collateral offsets the debt and nobody has to pay. So if it was $1,000 loan and the watch was worth $1,000, and the lender lost the watch for the $1,000, then one offsets the other. The debtor doesn't have to pay, and the creditor is not going to get his money. What happens if the collateral is either less or more than the debt? So im ha'chov yater ala mashkon, if the debt is worth more than the collateral, so the loan was for $1,000, and he gave him a watch only worth $500, and that watch was lost. So we subtract the cost of the collateral, the value of the collateral, from the overall debt, and the loveh, the borrower, is obligated to pay the balance of the two. Vice versa, if the collateral was worth more than the debt, it was $1,000 loan, and the collateral was worth $2,000, and he lost the $2,000 collateral, then the malveh, the one who was the lender, now is obligated to pay $1,000 back to the borrower, because his collateral that he gave him was worth more than what he owed him to pay. However, im ne'evad be'ones, if let's say the object of collateral was lost out of the control of the shomer sachar, which normally a shomer sachar is patur, is exempt from ones, so then gam ha'malveh patur, then the malveh is exempt, he'll swear on it, he'll be exempt. V'nishma shebe'ones ne'evad ve'goveh chovo kulo. He could swear that it was taken from him against his will. It was an honest case, in which case he's not liable for it whatsoever, and he could still collect his debt, his loan in full. So we basically treat the malveh as a shomer sachar. In situations where he's liable, we're going to do a balanced transaction between the collateral and the loan. In a case where he's not liable, the collateral doesn't factor in, and he's still going to be obligated to pay back. The loveh, I should say, is still going to be obligated to pay back his debt to the malveh. With this in mind, now we read Mishna Zayin. In situations where there is a dispute between the malveh and the loveh, how much the collateral was for, and a situation of modeh b'miktzat. Let's read the Mishnah. Hamalveh et havero al hamashkon ve'avad hamashkon. One who lends to his friend money on collateral, and the collateral was lost. Amar lo, the malveh says to the loveh, the lender says to the borrower, Sela hilviticha alav, I lent you a sela worth of money, v'shekel haya shaveh, and the collateral was only worth a shekel. Important to define our monetary values here. A sela has the value of 4 dinarim. A shekel is half that, has 2 dinarim. So we're going to be talking in terms of sela, shekel, and dinar. Sela is the top hole. Shekel is worth 2 dinarim, and a sela is worth 4 dinarim. If you want to think about it in dollars and quarters, a sela is $1, shekel is $0.50, and a dinar is a quarter, if you wanted to think about it in those terms. So the lender, the malveh, says, I lent you $1, a sela, v'shekel haya shaveh, and your collateral was only worth 50 cents. It was only worth two of the four units, 2 dinarim. Vehala omer, and the loveh, the borrower says, lo, that's not true. Loki, that's not the case. Ela sela hilvitani alav, you lent me a sela, v'sela haya shaveh, and the collateral was worth a sela. So therefore it should offset. In this situation, the loveh is not being modeh to any payment that he has to make. He's basically saying, I covered my debt by giving you that collateral. You lost the collateral, it wipes out the debt. Patur, the loveh is exempt from swearing in such a situation. Since he is not modeh b'miktzat, there is no biblical shivu'ah, but as we normally point out, there will be a shivu'at heset, a shivu'ah midirabbanan. However, if the case reads differently, sela hilviticha alav, the lender says, I lent you a sela, v'shekel haya shaveh, and your collateral was worth 2 dinarim, a shekel, and therefore the difference between this is 2 dinarim. You should have to pay me 2 dinarim. Vehala omer, and the loveh, the borrower says, Loki, that's not the case, ela sela hilvitani alav, you lent me a sela, ushlosha dinarim haya shaveh, and the collateral was worth 3 dinarim, which means I owe you 1 dinar. So the malveh, the lender, is claiming you owe me 2 dinarim. The loveh, the borrower, is claiming I owe you 1 dinar. That's a modeh b'miktzat case. In this situation, hayav, the borrower, will be liable to swear and pay the remaining balance, but he's obligated to swear mideoraita because this is a modeh b'miktzat case. As the Bartenura points out, shaharehu hodeh b'miktzat ta'ana, he agreed, he acquiesced to a portion of the claim against him of 2 dinarim, shahasela shaveh 4 dinarim. Then he says, v'kevan shahaloveh chayav li shava kama haya shaveh hamashkon shelo, since the borrower also has to swear how much his collateral was worth, he has to testify what his collateral was worth and swear for it. V'hamalveh chayav li shava ala mashkon she'eno b'rshuto, v'af al pi shemishalem damav, and the malveh, the borrower, the lender, who took the collateral, he also has to swear because he's swearing that that object is no longer in his possession. He has to swear that it was in fact stolen from him in order to get him, even though he's going to still have to pay, he's still going to have to make that swear because maybe we think the object is in his possession and he's just lying about it. We're suspect maybe he caught his eye on this Rolex watch that he really loved and he wanted the watch even for the paying. So he said, you know what, I'll claim that I lost the Rolex watch or that it was stolen, whatever. I'll pay the money for it. Who cares? But at least I get the Rolex at the end of the day. So he has to swear he doesn't have the Rolex in his possession. So in this situation, both parties are going to have to swear. The malveh is swearing that he doesn't have the object and he's going to pay. The loveh has to swear how much his collateral was worth to define its value in order to determine how much the difference is between the collateral and the debt that he took on. In this situation, Beddin put the shivu'ah on the malveh first to determine that he doesn't have the object. And then afterwards, they caused the loveh to swear how much it was worth. Why do they do it in this order? Because if they ask the loveh to swear first, and he swears how much his collateral is worth, and then the malveh pulls out a trick and says, oh, you say it's worth that much? Here, well, I have it in my possession. Here you go. Let's see how much it's worth. And he can make the loveh look like a fool and end up turning out that his swear was false, right? Shema yishava haloveh tehila. Maybe the borrower will swear first, v'lo dikdik bashuma, and he wasn't careful about how much it was worth. V'yotzi hamalveh et hamashkon. The malveh will take out the mashkon, v'yivselenu le'edut v'lishvu'ah, and he'll cause him to be pasul le'edut and shvu'ah. He basically did a false swear. He wasn't really intending to swear falsely, but maybe he didn't get the projection 100% right, and now the malveh is going to make him look terrible, and the malveh is going to negate him from being able to give testimony and swears in the future. To avoid this problem, the rabbis changed the order. First, you malveh swear that you don't have the object in your possession. When you swear that you don't have the object in your possession, now the loveh has to swear how much that object is worth. Now, in the end of this Mishnah, we will see that which it says in the Sefer, who's going to do the Shevuot. We'll see this in a minute. It's not one Shevuot to the exclusion of the other. It's whose Shevuot goes first. And we'll see this when we read the second case here in the Mishnah. Continuing in the Mishnah says, Sela hilvitani alav ushtayim haya shaveh. It's basically a similar situation, just reversing who has to owe who. In this case, Sela hilvitani alav, the lender, the malveh, claims that he lent him a sela, ushtayim haya shaveh. And the borrower says, the borrower is now accusing, the lender. The borrower says, you lent me a sela, but I gave you collateral that's worth 2 sela. So you lent me $100 and I gave you a collateral that's worth $200. You owe me money now, says the loveh to the malveh. And now the malveh counters, Vehala omer, the malveh says, Loki, that's not true. Ela sela hilviticha alav, vesela haya shaveh. He says, no, I lent you 100 and your collateral was worth 100. It washes out. Patur. The malveh now is exempt from swearing because the accusation is on him. He's not being modeh b'miktzat. Sela hilvitani alav ushtayim haya shaveh. If the loveh claims, I lent you a sela, I borrowed a sela, and I gave you collateral of 2 sela, vehala omer, and the malveh says, Loki, that's not the case. Ela sela hilviticha alav, I lent you a sela, v'chamisha dinarim haya shaveh, and your collateral was worth 5 dinarim. Now, 5 dinarim is 1 more dinar than a sela. So here the malveh is admitting that he's going to owe something back to the loveh. He's just not admitting to the full amount. The loveh claims you owe me 4 dinar. You owe me a full sela because it was 2 to 1. The malveh says, no, I only owe you 1 dinar because I lent you a sela and the collateral was worth 5 dinarim. So he's modeh b'miktzat. In this situation, again, where is modeh b'miktzat? Chayav, then he's liable to give the swear. The malveh in this case is obligated to swear how much he's going to owe him. Now, in both cases, again, as we already illustrated in Bar Tenura, both parties have to swear. They have to swear to the collateral, and they have to swear to the fact that he doesn't have the collateral in his possession, how much the collateral is worth, and the fact that he doesn't have collateral in his possession. The question is, in which case, who swears first? Umi nishba, who swears? Over here is what Bar Tenura meant when it says who swears is not who has to swear, it's who swears first. Misha pikadon etzlo. Whoever is the one who is the holder of the pikadon, or was the last holder of the pikadon, the item that's in question, he has to swear first. Why does he have to swear first? Shema yishava zeh, because maybe the other party will swear, veyotzi hala et pikadon, and the other one's going to take out the pikadon and claim you're a false witness because you claimed a value that's not what it's worth. So in both cases in this situation, the malveh is going to have to swear first. It doesn't matter the content of the swear. In the first half of the Mishnah, the malveh is swearing he doesn't have the pikadon. In the second half, he's going to have to swear to it also. In both cases, the loveh is going to swear to the value of the pikadon. It's always going to be the malveh who swears first and the loveh who swears second, even though in one case the malveh is going to get money and in the other case the loveh is going to get money. That's not important. We don't want the person who claims to have who was supposed to have the object to swear second because he'll take out the object and prove the other guy to be false. So this is our final case in this Mishnah of modeh b'miktzat. Basically the same case, just looking at who's the obligated party, who's the exempt party, and the key being that modeh b'miktzat, whoever's modeh b'miktzat, is hayav shevuah mideoraita.